Now, before we do this one, I just have to do a couple disclaimers for YouTube. So, first of all, in this segment, what we are not doing is denying a violent event took place, since there were obviously injuries and one casualty at this event.
Yep.
We did not make the clip in question that we're going to show. This is already in circulation on YouTube and on other platforms. So we did not make it, nor do we endorse every part of it. And the purpose of this segment is, of course, to provide commentary on an existing piece of video, not one that we made, for news, documentary, and educational purpose.
All right. So the anniversary of the Butler assassination attempt recently passed, and right around the same time, maybe because it was about a year, a report came out from Congress. Before the Butler shooting, the Secret Service denied multiple requests to bolster Trump's security detail during his 2024 campaign. The report from the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs found the Secret Service denied or left unfulfilled at least 10 requests from Mr. Trump's detail for additional resources, including an enhanced counter-drone system, counter-assault team personnel, and counter-snipers. The report accuses then Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle of falsely testifying to Congress that no USSS asset requests were denied for the Butler rally. Cheadle resigned nearly a year ago after testifying before Congress. Documents obtained by the committee revealed a pattern of certain categories of requests being either blatantly denied, unfulfilled, or required to be supplemented by local law enforcement or other federal agencies, the report said. The report also addressed the announcement this week that 6 Secret Service personnel were suspended following an internal investigation into the Butler shooting response. The 6 personnel were issued suspensions without pay or benefits ranging from 10 to 42 days. So this is Rand Paul talking a little bit about the report.
Today is that 1-year mark since then candidate Trump was shot at in Butler, Pennsylvania. You have released an accountability report. We've had a look at it, and it details that assets were requested by the Secret Service, including requests made over the phone, and they were denied. You also say that the former Secret Service director made false claims under oath when Kimberly Cheadle said there were no denials. Was she misled, or are you accusing her of lying?
She did not tell the truth. She said that there were no assets that were requested in advance. We found at least 4 occasions, actually maybe 5 occasions, where requests were made. The primary request that was made by both Trump's Secret Service detail as well as his campaign was for counter-snipers. Counter-snipers were denied until Butler. So thank God on that day in Butler County, Pennsylvania, that was the first time he was allowed counter-snipers. If he had not had counter-snipers, that assassin would have popped up again. He did pop up again to continue firing, and that's when he was taken out. But thank God we had the counter-snipers there. But why were they denied for months and months? When they finally did ask for them, they mysteriously, magically appeared. They found them where they needed. They just weren't trying hard enough. So it was a cascade of errors. It was just one error after another. When we talked to the people in charge of security, everybody pointed a finger at someone else. We said, who was responsible for that roof? The roof where the assassin lay with a direct sight line. Nobody wanted responsibility. Everybody said it was somebody else. There was plenty of time to take him off the stage. The suspicious person with the rangefinder who became the shooter, many times he was spotted by police with suspicion. That should have been enough to take the president off the stage. Even with him on the roof, there was about a 3-minute period when he could have been taken from the stage, and yet no one was fired. Some of these people could be in charge of security for another presidential candidate, and really that's a danger that some one of the people that were in charge at Butler could be in charge again. That's not right.
All right. Now, surprisingly, I don't think we've ever really gotten into this. So we're going to go all Oliver Stone here with you. I thought the best decision Oliver Stone made with his JFK movie is he presented a theory, but he made the point of putting the words into his protagonist's mouth even if you don't think this is what happened, the official story is not what happened, clearly, based on this evidence. So that's really, I think, what this is about. Rand Paul himself, as he lays this out, stumbles onto a lot of weird things. Why was that the first day that they had counter snipers on duty? Why was it the only rally that CNN streamed live? There are a lot of weird things about this assassination. We'll get into just a few of them, or this assassination attempt. Now, part of the reason this comes up is Hotspot just dropped this video. Now, to be clear, it claims the footage is new. It is not new. This is old footage.
And they weren't the only ones to drop this. This went viral. It's got like tens of millions of views.
Yeah, the way that this is analyzed, I think, is new. I think that analysis is new.
Yeah.
Now, the person, to be clear, the person who filmed it denies this interpretation in the interest of full disclosure.
Right, this was picked up online, and somebody added their take.
Right. So let's take a look.
President's been shot. Oh no.
This was after the shots were fired.
Either that or they're covering. We don't know. Either that or they're covering him. We love you. We love you, President Trump. We love you. We love.
Now, they are investigating the clear homoerotic man love from the stands, but so far no report has been released on that. But you can see clearly the Secret Service agent is taking him back and to the left. Back and to the left.
President Trump. We love you.
Okay, so now to be clear, we're going to see this from another angle. It is not clear that the flag is being lowered, rather than that the camera is simply in motion and changing its placement.
Yes! 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 We love you, President Trump. No! Oh, no, he's shot.
Now that, while it's paused, I will just say it is strange that the Secret Service is concerning himself with corralling the photographers. Like, your job is to protect the president, not the photographers, right?
Yes.
What are you corralling them for?
There's definitely weird stuff.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, like, sure. Okay, let's go back and watch it again. Okay, so this is part of the point he's making, that the guy's pushing the photographers.
Either that or
I
they're
would
covering.
argue
We don't
what's
know.
also
Either that or
very strange about this, you can tell we're theater dorks because when we're talking about this, I'm describing it as, they brought him downstage center. But they did. They brought him downstage center. Why would you this is an active shooter situation. Why would you bring him downstage center? That, to me, is the most suspicious part of this footage.
they're covering him. We love you. We love you, President
So they got him down, which is what you'd expect. Why would you lift him up?
Yeah, just keep him down.
Yeah, why would you lift him up? Why would you expose him like that?
Especially when he's
That
a big,
doesn't
tall
make any
guy,
sense.
and you got this
Right.
5'6" woman there.
We love you. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Again, not obvious the flag was lowered. That could just be the camera angle
It could
changing.
be. That's really not clear. It's not clear in the other video we're going to see either. Yeah, I mean, that is weird that this guy is corralling the photographers to get a good shot like that. Like, really? That's what you're thinking about in this situation?
Or why are you concerning yourself with the photographers at all? Your job is not to
Right.
protect the photographers. Your job is
Right.
to protect the president. They know what to do. They know what to hide. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so, yeah, that's weird. All right, so from another angle.
So this is from the Washington Post. This is the first person. This guy must have worn a GoPro or something.
America great
Right.
again, Joe.
Because this is his point of view. So he must have been filming while he was taking stills. So this might be one of the guys the Secret Service guy was corralling. This looks like very similar.
Yeah.
Now, from this angle, you're going to see the flag. It doesn't appear the flag is moving.
No.
From this angle.
No, it looks like it's suspended in a fixed position.
Yeah, and the wind was blowing, so it could have blown into the frame, too. This was definitely one of the photographers that Secret Service guy was corralling.
Now, again, why would you position him like that in an active shooter situation? That, to me, is really the most suspicious thing in all of this. So again, it's really not clear what's going on with the flag there. A lot of people have pointed out, for those who think he wasn't shot at, that there is this famous image of the bullet actually going through the air. I don't know how clear it is. I don't know that anyone's really claiming that no bullets were fired that day. The question is, were they fired at him? I don't know that you could tell from an image like this how close that is to him, or whether that is a bullet that's really not as close to him as you might think. I don't know. I'm not saying one way or the other. A lot of people have pointed out the ear. You know, this is claiming the blood should be dripping. I don't know. I'm not Dexter. I'm not a blood splatter expert. Some will point out there's no scarring in the ear. You have others who have posted images of the ear claiming that you can clearly see scar tissue. I don't personally think you see scar tissue there. Some say, well, if he got shot by that kind of round, a whole chunk of his ear should be gone. Others have shown footage of other people with similar injuries who don't have their ear gone. Again, that's inconclusive.
But he was asked about his ear, actually, by like a mainstream reporter. It was a very funny and Trump-like quote. He says, "I'm a fast healer."
I'm a fast healer. I'm like that when you ever see the X-Men. I'm like Wolverine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm like Wolverine. I'm just start wearing my hair like.
It's that methylene blue
like
that
that
Bobby
guy.
got me hooked on. It grows your stuff back as good as new.
Makes everything grow back.
Put one of those in you. Take 2 drops in your Diet Coke. You're indestructible.
Yeah, the ear. I mean, it's a little weird, but you know, okay. So Rogan and Elon did an interview. Now, I didn't have time to backtrack every single claim here. The ones I did backtrack checked out. So I'm going to read the list in its entirety, assuming that there is something to this list. Wall Street Apes is usually pretty good.
They're pretty right of center, too. So, like, there's not a hostile to Trump account at all.
No. The assassin's house was professionally scrubbed. His home was scrubbed so well there wasn't even silverware left in the home. No footprint on the internet. No social media footprint, completely wiped. He was in a BlackRock commercial. Joe Rogan says some individuals inside BlackRock may have recognized that it's beneficial to them if he gets assassinated. I mean, that's neither here nor there. There was never a formal report. There was never press conferences where they detailed all the information they know currently and where the investigation stands at the moment. He was a very young kid there with a rangefinder used to measure distances, very suspicious. CNN streamed it live, which Rogan does not believe, and I looked into that. Yeah, they didn't do that for any other rally. They wouldn't let people be on that roof because the Secret Service lady said it was sloped and it was dangerous. The snipers that were on the other roof was a steeper pitch. It made no sense. Random people saw him and pointed him out on the roof with a gun for a long time before it happened. The kid had 5 phones. His body was immediately cremated. There were some indications that there was a phone that had been traveling from outside the FBI offices in D.C. to where this kid lived multiple times. All right, so I did get into a few of these things.
Yeah, and just before you start, if any of that had been wrong, I strongly suspect that would have gotten community noted because Wall Street Apes is a big account.
Right, and it was not.
Yeah.
So here's one witness who describes the difference from another rally that he went to, also in Pennsylvania, a few years earlier, I think also a Trump rally.
I guess it was 4 years ago, at the Butler airport, not even 5 miles from here. It was an awe-inspiring event. We were just like, wow. But the one thing we noticed, we walked in there, and her and I, you know, we're close. And the one thing we noticed that the airport has a lot of hangars, buildings kind of like this, but they hold planes. Every rooftop of every hangar had 3, 4, 5 guys on top of it with
When
guns.
you say guys, snipers? Law enforcement with long guns on top?
Long guns,
Okay.
yes. And even some of them in the sniper position, just scanning everywhere. And my daughter turned to me.
To the point where you got there, you noticed them right away?
Immediately. It was the first thing she said to me. She goes, "Oh my gosh, Dad, look at this." She goes, "I never felt so safe in my life." Those were her exact words.
This is 4 years ago in the rally by the airport.
Correct.
The other airport.
Right.
Okay.
So she didn't come with me this time because she's eight months pregnant, and the heat and everything else, but she really wanted to. So that was so much on our minds there that we talked about it for, I don't know, we just talked about it. We were like so awe-inspired by the, wow. First thing I did when I got here yesterday was I did a complete look around at every rooftop. And I said to myself, that's strange. I don't see one cop, sniper, nothing. I don't see anything. And I just thought that was kind of weird.
And at what?
Okay. Here's the shooter wandering around pretty much out in the open, visible to everybody.
New footage shows a person wearing light-colored clothing wandering outside the perimeter of the Pennsylvania rally. That person's clothing resembled that of Thomas Matthew Crooks, who would attempt to assassinate former President Trump about an hour after this video was taken. The video, obtained by WTAE, shows the man wandering outside the same building that Thomas Matthew Crooks later climbed with his rifle.
Now, look at that. Look at that. No Secret Service, no cop, seeing this solitary, weird guy walking around in this presumably off-limits area, given that he's the only one there. I'm assuming that's not open to the crowd. Nobody felt a need to go talk to this guy.
Well, to me, this is where you start. Now, I won't be long. I don't want to break the flow. But to me, the starting point of any suspicion of foul play is that this was a rural area. There were only a handful of rooftops you had to secure. You had to check out.
Yeah.
Right? So how is it that this guy got to one of these rooftops in the middle of nowhere, a handful of buildings that you have to secure? If this had happened in like Washington Square Park, you could say, okay, there's literally dozens of buildings with views of the park and thousands. I mean, in the northwest corner alone, that big apartment building has hundreds of windows facing the park. So you could say in that situation, okay, it's conceivable. You miss a spot because there's thousands of possibilities for trouble. This, you're talking about a handful of buildings that you have to secure. So how could that not have happened? I was like, I wandering around outside one of what, 7
I mean,
buildings?
you saw it. You saw it. Like, clearly that was not open to the crowd.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how's this guy wandering around unnoticed? But he was noticed.
Right.
So we've all seen footage. That was something that came out pretty early on. Multiple witnesses talk about going to the police because they noticed this guy wandering around.
Yeah.
Was up at the fence line. Saw the guy move from roof to roof. Told an officer that he was on the roof. The officer come looking. I went back to where I was standing. Heard that there was somebody that could see the person, so I went back to where they were standing, saw the person, went back and told the officer again that if he goes back to that particular spot, he can see the person, figuring that he would go in radio. And when I turned around to go back to where I was is when the gunshots started, and then it was just chaos, and we all came running away, and that was that.
Let me get this right. So you actually saw the man on top of the roof behind us?
Yes.
And you're saying people reported that to law enforcement, saying there is a man on the roof of the building?
Yes, there were two officers that were actively searching. You could tell they were searching and looking for somebody, and we just tried to help and tell them where the guy was. And they, at some point, somebody obviously found him, or the snipers found him, and I just seen him going from one building to another. There was a little gap in between, and he went. And when I went back to see the people that I heard that could see him, seen a quick look at him there, and then went to the officer to tell the officer, and that was all that I got.
How many gunshots did you hear?
I have no idea. It was
Okay. All right. And then there's all the weirdness around the shooter. Reminder, the would-be assassin, Thomas Matthew Crooks, which again, in my entire life, there has never been a would-be assassin as invisibilized as this assassin. I didn't know his name until I did the research for this. I'm not saying nobody does, but most people don't. I promise you that.
It's not a household name like Mark David Chapman.
No,
or
any
Lee
other
Harvey Oswald,
other high-profile attempted assassination in my life, the guy was a household name because you didn't have all of those TV shows, biography. Who was Matthew Crooks? Why did he? Very little of that. Very little. The BlackRock ad, he was featured in a 2023 BlackRock ad. The BlackRock ad was filmed at Bethel Park High School, which Crooks attended. As soon as this was discovered, BlackRock immediately pulled the ad. There he is. That's his high school yearbook picture, and there he is in that ad. You can easily find it. It's still online, even though BlackRock did yank it. Not good for the brand. Now this has almost been forgotten, I think, by most people. There was actually a congressperson who investigated, who made a lot of the claims that were in that Wall Street Apes bullet point presentation. The body was gone by the time he came to examine. This was Representative Clay Higgins, a Louisiana Republican, who was on the House task force investigating the shooting. This was last year. Detailed some of his findings after a 3-day trip to Butler earlier in August. In the report, Higgins wrote that he had attempted to examine Crooks's body but was unable to do so, and alleged the FBI was obstructing further investigative efforts. Quote, "My effort to examine Crooks's body on Monday, August 5th, caused quite a stir and revealed a disturbing fact. The FBI released the body for cremation 10 days after July 13th, Higgins wrote in the report. On July 23rd, Crooks was gone. Nobody knew this until Monday, August 5th, including the county coroner, law enforcement, sheriff, etc. Higgins said the Butler County coroner, quote, technically had legal authority over the body, but I spoke with the coroner, and he would have never released Crooks's body to the family for cremation or burial without specific permission from the FBI, unquote. He also wrote that similar to releasing the crime scene and scrubbing crime scene biological evidence, this action by the FBI can only be described by any reasonable man as an obstruction to any following investigative effort. Okay. So somebody posts here, and let's break it down. Shooter was on a roof in plain sight of Secret Service. True. They don't wait for a shooter to shoot first. True. Secret Service doesn't let a POTUS rise up and pause for a photo op. It's a little more speculative, but I'm saying true. The most unclear part here, AR-15 bullets don't graze an ear and leave it intact. I'm not an expert. Different people say different things about that.
Yeah.
But
we need
he's
to hear from
asserting...
Otacon about that. He knows all about firearms because he's a real man and we're not.
Exactly. Butler, PA was staged. So I would argue, obviously, again, going back to Oliver Stone's JFK argument, anticipating that not everyone would like his theory of what happened. Basically, answers through his protagonist, as filmmakers so often do. Even if you don't believe this is what happened, obviously the story we've been told is not what happened. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what Garrison says in the movie. That's what I say here. You know, some people say, what do you think? They didn't try to kill him? Personally, no, I don't. Given how things have evolved since he has become president, I believe this was staged to ensure that he would become president, because there was an agenda there that they were going to more easily be able to push through with Trump than with Harris. I can't prove. Nobody could ever prove that. That's my opinion, based on the evidence. Other people say, well, the reason the Secret Service was so incompetent is they were trying to kill him, and it's just by the grace of God or whatever you believe in that he wasn't killed. I think that's less likely, but clearly there is a cover-up here. Whatever you believe about that, there's a cover-up. Even Rand Paul, going through this report, he's almost like burying the lead there, because he's talking about things that are very strange. Like, why is this the first day that they had counter snipers? Almost as if they knew they were going to have to take out a sniper that day. Why was this the only rally that CNN broadcast live? So there's a lot of weird stuff. I think what we can say is conclusively the story we're being told is not the truth, and there's a cover-up here. What the nature of it is, we don't know.
Yes, I mean, I would generally agree with that, like, broadly speaking, and I think the most suspicious part of it is that we're not getting answers to any of these questions.
Right.
And you would think we would, being that the most powerful man in the world is the guy who was on the receiving end of this attempt, right? So why wouldn't he turn over every stone to get to the bottom of it?
That is the so to speak smoking gun to me. The fact that the famously vengeful Donald Trump, in a case where clearly there's all kinds of malfeasance, that he didn't go right into the Oval Office and demand answers about this.
Right. Now that could mean, that could mean one of two things. That could mean that, yes, that there was no attempt and that he knows that. Or it could mean that the attempt put the fear of God into him and he doesn't want to get to the bottom of this because he's terrified. And that was the deep state's way of scaring him straight. Both of those are possible explanations. What seems to me to be a virtually impossible explanation is that there was no foul play behind Thomas Matthew Crooks. Because if he was just a lone actor and there was no conspiracy, and I know that's a dirty word, conspiracy is just two or more people coming together to do something that they shouldn't do. If there was nothing beyond that, that means there'd be no reason for Trump to not turn over every stone. Right. So either he's part of the cover-up or he's scared shitless of the people who tried to do this to him. Those are the only two real possibilities. I mean, to me, if there is nothing to it beyond what the reporting is, then he would be aggressively pursuing it because there'd be no forces compelling him not to, if that makes sense, right? So that, to me, is what makes it all the more suspicious. And I know we've gotten comments, and somebody sent us a big long email about this. And Russ is older and wiser than me, but I am actually more a veteran of the conspiracy theory space than Russ is. And I can tell you, and so far I have to say you're doing pretty well. Is that part of the pitfall?
I'm a natural. They say
you're a natural. You got that. You're good. You're good kid. But one of the pitfalls of this sort of speculation is insisting that you can piece together the exact sequence of events and leading with that in every conversation. For example, when it comes to 9/11, I had a strong sense that 9/11 was a false flag of sorts since I was 16. When I was asked about, the post 9/11 foreign policy, when I would get into arguments with people who supported the Iraq war, first of all, I would never lead with my suspicions about 9/11. because it creates a very high barrier to entry into the conversation. Now you're asking people to sign up for 9/11 as a false flag before they can engage on the Iraq War thing. So it kind of creates an obstacle where there need not necessarily be. I
find it's good to lead with that on dates. It can save you a lot of time.
Yeah, right. Can save you time and money on dates. Yeah, exactly. Can save you having to spring for that second drink. But the other thing is, when a situation like this comes up, where you go out on a limb on a theory that's not only unproven but unprovable, is when it comes to 9/11, I would just lead with facts, things I know to be true. I know the project for a new American century planned to invade Iraq. I know they said such an invasion would be impossible to get off the ground absent a new Pearl Harbor. And I know that 9 months into taking power, they got the new Pearl Harbor and then used that as an excuse. So right there, if you're going to give me shit about 9/11, you have to accept then that those 3 events happened in sequence, by coincidence, by accident, for no reason, right? That's what you have to believe. So in this case, what you got to believe there's nothing here, is that a field in the middle of nowhere with 6 buildings surrounding the stage went completely unchecked and unscrewed. How could you not have eyes on every rooftop? That makes no sense. So that's the starting point. Okay, we know that this guy was able to get to the roof in a rural area with very few locations to secure.
Wandering around out in the open.
Right. When they had counter sniper teams, so we know that there were eyes open, right? There had to be eyes open, otherwise you wouldn't have guys up on the roof. So you know that, okay, so you start from there and you say, okay, does that not smell like shit to you? Right. And then from there, it always ends in speculation because you can never actually, that's why the caricature of the conspiracy theorist is the guy with the pins and the yarn who's trying to connect every dot. You're never going to connect every dot.
Well, and then the destruction of evidence with the alleged would-be assassin.
Well, the body, what did they do to bin Laden after they killed him? They buried him at sea. Oh, he's in the ocean. His body's in the ocean.
They scrubbed
That's what they said
house.
to bin Laden. Yeah.
Why would they scrub his house?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? For what reason?
Exactly.
If you're not trying to hide evidence.
Nope. Exactly. More questions than answers.
Please clap.